Good morning. Apologize for the delay. We have 10 more people that were supposed to come, so we were holding off on that, but if we have latecomers, that's great. I'm Rachel, this is Nancy. Welcome to our Smart Senior Seminars. We are very excited about today's presentation. Nancy, did you want to do the...
No, I'll let you, because you...
Oh, okay. So, well, can you please... Well, I was going to have you do the phone thing, but... Okay, if you could please turn your phones to silent. And then the restrooms are out this door to the right. You make 3 rights, and so it's around the corner. So we... Oh, and for gentlemen, Dana?
Straight out.
Straight out. Okay, perfect. Okay, so today we have Kristina Perkins from the DA's office. Thank you for being here. And Dave, thank you for being here, our security expert. So I'm gonna, did you have anything to say or pass it over?
Well, yeah, pass it over.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
You want the mic or no?
Can everybody hear me? I
Yes.
have a loud voice and I like to move around a lot, so if that's okay, we'll do that. If you want to stay right here. If I get here as a cop for 30 years, we're supposed to not stay in the same spot too much or people shoot at us. So I'm gonna move around a bit here. So I saw they did such a fantastic job of talking about Kristina and I. I'm not going to go over my resume at all. I'm going to get right into it. But one thing that wasn't in the resume, which is my passion, is for the last 30 years, I was a police officer with the city of Santa Barbara, retired in 2019. I run an investigative company called Fourfend here locally, and we specialize in intelligence, and you're going to understand why we specialize in intelligence hopefully after we're done talking today. So I've been doing that the last 4 years now, so, and I think I enjoy it almost as much as I did when I was a police officer. But the thing that I enjoyed the most in the last 30 years is I was also a coach. I got to coach at anywhere from my daughters as soccer players all the way up to I coached football at a college level for a couple of years. And I was fortunate enough, I wasn't that good of a coach, okay, but I was fortunate enough to have a lot of players that were successful, some even at the pro level in various sports. And the one thing that they had in common was they had great fundamentals. Their foundation was fantastic, right? So everybody says, oh man, they're so much more talented. Yeah, they were talented, but they worked at it, right? They were so much better of an athlete. Yeah, there's something to be said about that, but they still worked at it, okay? So they wanted to do, they actually became really good by working on the fundamentals. So that's what we're gonna do today. I know we were gonna talk about fraud prevention, security tips. We're gonna give you all those. We've got Kristina right now with the Santa Barbara District Attorney's Office, who that's what she does. She has a weekly radio show called Scam Squad. If you actually grab the newspaper there, she's got an article right here that she wrote. So you're going to get it straight from the right now. She knows everything that's going on. Okay, so you're going to get all this information. But what I want to do is, if you're all interested, this is why we're smaller. We're in a small group here. I want to teach you guys all how to commit a fraud. Okay? All right. Who's in? Okay? Who always wanted just to be a little bit of a criminal here? Okay? That's what we're gonna do right now. One of my favorite, I've got, it's family right here at this table right here. And back in the days when we first met, one of my favorite things to do was go over to my grandmother's house and watch the 3:30 movie. and we watched on black and white, and you always knew who the good cowboy was and who the bad cowboy was by the color of their hat, right? Okay, so right now, we're gonna put on our black hat, okay? So, fraud. What is fraud? Okay? Fraud is criminal deception with the intent to get a personal gain or a financial gain. Okay? So remember, we're wearing our black hat right now. Let's remember that last thing. We're in it for us. Okay? We are in it for us. We want to get something out of this. We're spending a lot of time here. We want to make some money. Okay? We want to get something of value. So don't ever forget that. Personal gain or so. But let's talk about the other part, criminal deception. Okay, what is criminal deception? Well, it's made up, as we found, is basically it's the ability to convince you to give me the money in your purse, right? That's,
I left it.
okay, you left it at home, we got all our different reasons, right? That's kind of audacious, me going out and asking for that. I want to have some sort of trick. I want you to realize that there's something in it for you to go ahead and give me something. So maybe you're going to feel sorry for me because of the way that I'm dressed, or I'm down and out, or the story that I told you, or maybe I'm going to trick you. Okay? Maybe I'll trick you into something, right?
I've been tricked.
Right, and this is, we all have. We all have been tricked, right? So, when you're talking about criminal deception, the first key element that we gotta get good at, right, is intelligence gathering. Remember I told you what my company did? Okay, we're trying to be the best in Santa Barbara. I'd like to think that we are, in terms of gathering intelligence, okay? The better we know a subject, the better we know something that's going on, the better product that we're going to deliver, right? So, back in 1990, I was a young street cop. And back then, the way that criminals would gather intelligence is they would do a thing called a trash run, right? So basically, they would come to your trash cans when you're sleeping or just before somebody was coming up, and they'd go through the trash and they'd learn all about you. Okay, think about it right now. In your trash right now, do you think there's something in there that I can learn about you? Okay. I can learn what you eat. I can learn your address. I can learn what you like, right? I can learn a lot by those trash runs. So then we got really smart, right? And how many of you guys have a shredder in your house? Okay, now we're putting on that hat, that white hat. What happened there is with that shredder, now everybody had it, but that was something new. Not everybody had shredder. I was giving these presentations back in the early 90s, and I was telling people get a shredder. Now everybody has one of those, okay? But the skills are gonna be the same. The foundational things are gonna be the same as we're talking about, okay? How else would I learn about you, right? I would actually knock on your door. Hi, I'm selling candy, right? Hi, I lost my dog, right? Anything that I could get close to you, learn a little bit about you, right? Some of that is I'm gonna come back and break into your house, but some of it might be, okay, I'm gonna call you later because I know what your telephone number is because I got it from the trash, and I'm going to say something that I learned just by that view of what I saw inside that house, okay? So I got up there and like that, hey, you know, I met you the other day, and now I'm getting into that criminal deception, right? So what happened is, at that point, you had to be really, really kind of audacious, right? A little bit fearless, because what was happening is all these guys in black and white, or guys and girls in black and white cars, were driving around, and if you were doing something suspicious, we'd stop you. They call that a pedestrian shake, right? We would talk to you. And, hey, what are you doing in this neighborhood? What are you doing going through this trash? What are you selling? You know, we'd engage them. We would gather intelligence from them. But that's how that worked then. Okay? What's going on right now with intelligence gathering? Okay, what can we learn? There's something new. Maybe you guys have heard about it. There's an internet, right? Okay. Did you put anything on the internet to advertise this event?
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff, right?
Lots of stuff. All
Okay. Yeah, we had to learn that. Okay, we have to use it. This is what everybody else is using. It's a tool. We had to do that. Okay. Social media. Not everybody has it, but does anybody have a social media account? Okay, Instagram, LinkedIn. Okay, why do we do that? Because it's great. We get to see our kids, we get to see people that we grew up with, we get to see all these things on this. This is fantastic. I have an internet account. As a cop, I wasn't going to do that. I didn't want anybody to find out about me, right? But now, this is fun to be in the real world, right? It's fun to share things about your family and the things that you're doing and everything. But think about that trash run. That's a trash run. Okay, we have learned from the internet through social media and everything. We're learning a lot of intelligence about you just from stuff that is out there in our natural day-to-day thing. It's natural. We learned as kids to throw trash away. We're doing the same thing. So some of you are sitting there going, well, you know what? I'm really good with my social media. I just look, right? What do they call that? A lurker, or what's it called? I don't know. My daughter calls it lurking or whatever it is. But I just look, right? I like to keep up. I like to do this, but I don't put anything. I don't take that selfie of what I'm eating or where I'm at. I'm not posting those vacation pictures or anything like that. So people aren't really learning. I'm doing a really good job. Okay. You have friends. What are they doing? Are they as disciplined? Are your family members as disciplined? Okay. One of the first things that I do when I'm learning about you, because I'm going to do a case against you, I'm stepping away. You guys are all the criminals. I'm going to work. Okay, remember, you signed up for it. Okay. One of the first things that I do is I'll go and say, okay, they're probably, because they're doing something wrong, they're probably going to have a small digital footprint. But who are their friends? Who are their friends' friends? And then I build it backwards from there. Okay, I go backwards from there. So we'll talk about, and Tina's going to talk about the things that are going on and prevention tips and everything like that. But if you guys are learning, if you understand why we're doing this and what's happening, I think you can protect yourself better. We'll put that white hat back on. Okay. Number two, I can get all this intelligence in the world, but if I'm sitting like this or I'm standing like this, right? I have to develop trust. It's easy. I can come up here, use a gun and say, give me that, okay, but that's a different crime, right? And that takes a lot of being audacious about it. I need to develop trust for you to be deceived. So what were some of the things that you can do to develop trust back in the days? Back in the days, we did a lot of undercover work, right? I found out very early in my career, and it's not about the using of narcotics or anything, but I found out that drugs and substance abuse usually followed crime. They usually went hand in hand. And I wanted to create safety for this community. I wanted to make a difference. That's what I wanted to do. So I started learning a lot about narcotics enforcement, right? And some of your best intelligence gatherers are your narcotics officers. Okay, they're the ones that are talking, learning human intelligence, going out, doing things like surveillance, everything like that, right? But we used to have little tricks, right? When we go undercover, right? When we bought dope, okay? When we bought from a dealer, what do you think the first thing they would see to make sure that we weren't a cop? What do you think they would say to us? Anybody? It's simple. Anybody have an idea? What would you do? Are you a cop? All right? How many of you heard the old thing that a cop can't lie? They have to tell you. Okay? They have to tell you. That's not true. Right? That's not true. No, I am not a cop. Hate them. They're terrible. Okay? They smell like pork. Right? They're terrible. We don't like those cops, right? Here's the other thing is we would do undercover prostitution stings. Right? And this gets a little dicey right here. Okay? I don't want to go in and in order to prove the crime, do the act. No way. Okay? But you had to get, in order to prove the act, the person had to agree to something, right? So at the very beginning, they would ask, are you a cop? No, not a cop. All right. What are we gonna do? You're under arrest, you get a ticket, we go, hopefully we affect their lives and things are going better with their life, we'll get them into the system, all those things. And then they got to a point where they kind of said, well, cops aren't gonna get naked, right? And I'm not gonna tell you a naked story, nobody wants to see that, okay? But what you would do is then you would think, okay, how do I build that trust? So we would go in there and I would say, they'd come in and say, okay, well, take your clothes off. Well, I'd be in sweats, immediately drop down to shorts. I'm not having a conversation. I'm not telling them why I'm not gonna do it. I'm not letting any red flags go on. I'm pushing the decision-making, pushing it back on them, right? So, okay, while we're doing this, what am I gonna get for this? Okay, what is the crime? Let me get the elements of the crime. I'm pushing that dynamic. When you guys create space in your new profession of being frauds, you wanna push that. Make them make decisions quicker than they're comfortable in, okay? Make them close the gap, get a little closer than they're comfortable with that. Do those type of things, and you, okay, are gonna be successful as part of this little criminal team that we're putting together, right? What are we doing nowadays? Remember all that intelligence and everything? We've learned everything about it. I can call you on the telephone now, and I can tell you all about your grandkid. And I can tell you how your grandkid got in an accident. And I can look at Zillow, right? Because at some point your house was sold, maybe, okay? I can look at Google Maps, and I can look at the top of Google Maps, and I can learn about this. I can say, hey, I hit your car, and out in front, that pine tree, okay? I can do this from Nigeria. I can do this from the United States. I can do this from a boat, someplace else. And I can convince you that I'm part of the circle of trust, okay? I am staying in my shorts, right? That's what I'm doing to create that trust, okay? Now the last thing, right, I want you to be really, really good at this, okay? And typically in the 90s, you had to be a little audacious, okay? You had to be a little fearless. Okay, not everybody is good at coming up. Not everybody has a sales background. Not everybody's really good at coming and engaging somebody and having a conversation, especially if it's an awkward conversation, right? So you had to do that. I had to be fearsome or have no fear to the point of I can walk up and go through your trash cans and explain to you why I'm going to the trash cans if I get caught, okay? Back in the 90s, there was really no recycling. Nowadays, I just tell you I'm recycling, and I walk away, right? But back in the 90s, everybody answered the door, Okay, the old youth football league, that's how you taught your kids to interact with people, by selling raffle tickets. How do they do it nowadays? Okay, they send it through a text, okay, and you say to them, okay, go ahead and sell this, here's the friends, but you don't even have them have an interaction with them. I'm not saying everybody, but these are the things that are happening, right? So you had to be a little fearless in order to do that. Now we got the internet, right? Anybody know of any companies that do remote work?
Oh, yeah.
All right, you guys don't need to be fearless, okay? You can do all this work behind your computer at home in your jams, okay? You can get all this. You can learn about everybody on the computer in your jammies. We can go ahead and create these great ways to deceive. They have things nowadays where we used to have check cashing schemes where you'd have to get a check from the garbage can, and then you'd wash that check so everything would go away, and then you'd rewrite it, and that's how you would actually do this. Okay, that's what would happen. You don't have to do that anymore. All you have to do is make a link, which all of the younger generation is now learning how to do, that looks like it comes from your bank. That looks like it comes from your realtors. Looks like it comes from your insurance. Looks like it comes from your medical, okay? And I can do it the old school way. I can send it on the computer, but guess what? If you don't do it on the computer, I'll just send it the old school mail ways and print up a letter and somehow, some way get you to trust me, okay? So these are the fundamentals. I put everybody ready to do this job now? Okay? You ready to scam? Okay? The old ways we had two things that we had going on back in the early 90s. Lottery was new. They used to have lottery scams, right? So on the lottery scam, basically you would either get something over on a telephone call to get information, or I'd meet you in a parking lot and say, hey, I don't have an identification in order to get this money for an identification. I'm here illegally, so if you just give me $500, I'll give you this $10,000 lottery scam. Okay, I'll give you that. We all kind of laugh, oh, that's not gonna happen to us, or so it happens to all of us. Okay, and it's happening more often on the internet and the things that are happening and those telephone calls that you're doing. So let's go over this list right now. It says tips to avoid scams. I used to be able to do these things without notes or glasses, but I needed them. Okay, don't answer the phone. Get caller ID and screen calls, okay? Typically when you walk into one of these, we're doing this for prevention, but no, remember, we want to be able to scam you, okay? So let's ask the why. Why are we telling the people that we want to scam, we want to get something from? Remember, we want to get money, why are we telling them not to answer the phone, do screen calls, do everything like that? That's rude. You're supposed to answer the phone when somebody calls, okay? Intelligence gathering, right? The minute you answer that phone, they've learned something about you, right? The minute you answer the phone and you say, is Dave there? Yeah, this is Dave. What do you want? Okay? They've learned something. They can pivot. Remember, they're in their jammies. This is their job. It's remote work and everything. They can now pivot. Now they know that phone number goes to Dave, and they can now start building this scam. Okay? So when you look at these tips, I want you to, and when you think about the things that Kristina is going to talk about in terms of new scams that are going on, when you look at these tips, I want you to look at it this way. Put that black hat on, Okay, be that old school cowboy, that bad person, right? And figure out why they're doing this. Because it's gonna make you better when you put that white hat on and you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your family, you're protecting your friends, you're protecting your businesses. That's all the stuff that it's gonna do, right? Because let's look at number 2 here. Don't give out personal information. It's the same to anyone you don't know, okay? Intelligence gathering, right? That's what that is. You see how this is working? We'll jump to number 7. Don't click on any unknown links, okay? Trust building, right? You're already in something that you're interested in. You're already got, there's a thing, it's called phishing. Has anybody ever heard of it? It's with a P, okay? Well, I just talked about all the old phishing holes as criminals that we had with an F, okay? You just change it, that's all that is P is a phishing hole, okay? They now have decided with this P, okay, they're going to try to create something to make you trust, right? And then they're gonna split it. Remember I said you gotta make that decision quickly? Okay? You got 15 seconds or your computer's gonna be. Call this phone number. You're gonna lose all your stuff. That link comes up, right? They close that gap. So you can have this, you'll bring this, I'm gonna have Rachel put it up on their site. So you have this, you can share with family or anything like that. But the way to look at this, you know, we have Susie in the back of the room. She gave this to her father, Larry, who is probably one of the best salesmen I've ever met in my life. The guy is amazing, right? So, but he has this on there because it happens to all of us. What's going on right now? Tax season? Okay, well, not tax season. If you did an extension, it's tax season, right? Okay, so for whatever reason, I got something with a Dropbox from my tax person, and my tax person said, here, do this Dropbox. He'd never shared that with me before in the past, but I had so much that was going on, guess who clicked on it? Right? Luckily, as he started asking for more information, I said, no, this isn't right. And then my partner came in who was doing the same thing, and he said, yeah, he goes, I saw this was suspicious, right? So I picked up the phone and I called our tax person. He says, no, we never do that, right? It can happen to anybody, even the best of criminals, okay? It can happen. So don't ever, ever, ever be afraid, be embarrassed at anything that happens, okay? To talk about it, to share that information, okay? Because we're all in it as a team. And there's a lot of noise out there, all right? Kristina.
Thank you, Dave. That's all excellent information. So, I just want to briefly introduce myself. My name is Kristina Perkins, as you've heard. I'm the Chief Investigator of the Santa Barbara County District Attorney's Office. So a lot of people don't know, but your District Attorney's Office has a small police force. So I run the Bureau of Investigation, which is a unit comprised of 20 sworn law enforcement officers. So that's my job specifically. And one of the things I do that is really my passion is I love to educate the public on financial crimes. And unfortunately, there are a lot of them. I want to specifically talk about exact scams, but I want to add a little bit to what Dave said as well. Let's go, so I'm going to kind of continue to go over his list and then we'll get into those exact scams. So don't answer the phone. That is one of the key things, right? If you're not contacted by a scammer, they can't scam you. But what a lot of scammers now that you'll see have done is they'll do spoofing. So that phone number will look legitimate. It may look like, it'll pop up like it's your bank. And we have a current scam going on in the county, and it's regarding warrants, which I'll cover in a minute. And the phone number that pops up looks like it's from the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department. So not only be careful to not answer your phone, but also if you do answer your phone thinking that it's a legitimate company or business, always be a little cautious. And that's going to be the overreaching umbrella of the message today that I hope you take away is trust but verify. right? You need to just be careful. We don't want to scare you. We're gonna provide you some really good tips on how to not be a victim, but you always need to have, no matter what you're doing, when it is something to do with your personal information or finances, make sure that you are a little suspicious when you're giving out information either online or on the phone. Okay, so specific scams that we're seeing in the county, and I'll ask in a bit, because I'm sure you mentioned that you were the victim of a scam. If you want to share, you may. If not, that's okay. Ones that we're seeing right now are the warrant scam. So what happens is you'll receive a phone call. It'll look like it's from the sheriff's department. You'll answer, and it'll be a very friendly, it's usually a man in this case, identifying himself as a sergeant or a lieutenant with the sheriff's department, and he'll say, hey, you have a warrant out for your arrest. Usually it's a jury summons. You didn't show up for jury duty, and now you have a few warrants out for your arrest. And this creates that immediate fear. And he'll assure you, it's okay, we can take care of this. We just need to make sure that I get you some information, and you can pay your warrant fine over the phone, and everything will be taken care of. And what they do, which is very, very, like you said, they're sitting in their pajamas, right? They're at home, and they have all the time in the world to research this. So they've done a really good job. They'll have the correct name of a sergeant or a lieutenant at the sheriff's department. The phone will look like it's coming from the sheriff's department. If you push back a little bit, one caller I received from last week, she said, can I talk to your supervisor? So he said, sure, no problem, let me put you on hold. Put her on hold, and another person answered the phone and identified himself. Hello, I'm so-and-so, I'm the supervisor, how can I help you? And they had a whole nother person able to make her feel a little more comfortable that this wasn't a scam, which of course it was. As she's talking to them, she's looking up on the computer, pulling up the phone number, pulling up the names, and they're all checking out. And she was really nervous and scared that this was real. And the second part of that, right, there's that sense of urgency. You need to take care of this warrant, or we're gonna come and arrest you, right? So you can just pay for them right now, it's not a big deal, or unfortunately what's gonna happen is we're gonna send someone to your home and take you into custody, and that's scary, right? That's a scary thing. So that's one of the scams going around. Law enforcement will never call you to tell you you have a warrant. Dave can attest that's one of the fun parts about law enforcement is you go and arrest someone if they have a warrant, right? We're not going to call you and give you a fair warning. You just need to pay your fine. Another way to know, so number one, you'll never receive a call asking for money to take care of your warrant. Number two, you'll also never be asked to pay in some sort of odd, unusual way. In these scams, what they want you to do is go to CVS and buy a gift card. Or I need you to go to this specific ATM in a grocery store and deposit the money there. So it'll never be an unusual way to pay for any of the scams, right? For any of the warrant specifically, but also any time you have someone saying you need to pay money or you owe money, one of the key things to pay attention to is you're being asked to pay in this kind of unusual way. Cryptocurrency, that should be a huge red flag, right? So the warrant scams, has anyone received one of those phone calls? No? I'm gonna have the woman who called that alerted us this scam is going around again, and this is a scam that's been happening for years. Might have even been happening when you were still working. Did you ever receive the warrant calls?
I received the warrant calls, and when it was really high, we actually put together a lottery scam where we actually got everybody who had warrants and told them that they were gonna win, and they met us at the Cabrillo Arts Center and then arrested them as they walked in the door.
Yeah.
So, but yes, these are scams, whether it be on the phone, however it was, the meat and potatoes of it did happen.
Yeah, and again, his point, right, is the fun part was to arrest the people. So law enforcement is not going to call you until you have a warrant. You will never get a warrant if you don't appear for jury duty. I'll assure you that. So the number one way, warrant specifically, but I'll go over again and again when I talk to you right now, is just verify the information. If you receive a phone call from the sheriff's department, it doesn't sound right, or it does sound right and you're scared, say, okay, I'm gonna call you back. Hang up, Google or whatever search engine you use, Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department, and call that line directly on the official website. So the next scams are the social medias. Dave mentioned social media, right? You have yours locked in. you don't need to worry about it, no scammers can get to you. But the reality is, they do. And that's why scamming is a $1 billion industry where they victimize people in the billions every year. Social media, what we see is the financial scam. I've received this one within the last month, is a friend, you'll receive a friend request from someone you know.
Yeah.
Have you, yeah?
Yes, yes.
And you receive a friend request from somebody you know, you'll accept it, you're like, I know, this is my friend. You accept it, and almost immediately you'll receive a message, hey, how you doing? Thanks for adding me. And a little friendly chat will happen, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, hey, I'm retired now and I'm doing great, and the reason why I'm doing great is because I've invested in this firm or this financial, and then all of a sudden they'll be asking you for information. Another scam that happens in social media is romance scams. This is a big issue we're seeing. This is not only devastating financially but emotionally to people. I received a phone call from a woman in Utah 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'll talk about scam squads. The reason why she found me was because of our podcast. But she luckily had recognized that she was the victim of a romance scam. She had been communicating with a man for 2 years, and she had lost $120,000 so far. And unfortunately, that's not that much money when it comes to romance scams. We had a guest on our show of a woman who lost over $600,000 due to a romance scam that started as a social media contact. She thought that Vince Gill, the singer, had contacted her, and over years, through messaging, they developed a relationship, and he kind of fell on some hard financial times, and over the years, she gave him $600,000, almost all of her retirement. So these social media scams are real, and anyone can be the victim to it. I receive friend requests probably 2 or 3 times a week. And just because of what I do, sometimes I'll accept them just because I'm a little curious. I don't recommend that, don't do that yourself, but I do just because I'm interested in what they have to say, and it's always a scam. Back to if you receive a friend request from somebody that you know, before you accept it, make sure you're not already friends, right? Yeah. I'll ask you in a minute your story, because I can tell you have a great.
Well, that was just about it. Somebody had, what do they call it when they get their Facebook or their profile?
Yeah, hacked, or not even hacked. Usually it's copied. We use the term hacked very loosely. Hacked means they actually infiltrated your personal account, but 99% of the time your account wasn't compromised. They just stole your photo. And if you have any public photos, like you're saying, you may think it's locked down, but they were able to steal your photo and make it look like a legitimate account. That's why always be careful. So you'll receive that friend request from someone. If you already are friends with them, don't accept it. It's really that easy. The second way to know that it's a scam is you go to their friends list. You may see a few that are mutual friends already. However, with those scam accounts, more than likely they have very few friends or followers. Right? It's a Facebook account, you'll see, oh, you have 3 friends in common, but then you'll look at their total followers or total friends and they only have 9. That just means 3 of your friends have fallen and accepted it, and they're just trying to get that bigger, trying to make their page look more legitimate. And another way is with Instagram. Who has Instagram? Right, with Instagram, one of the ways, I probably dive a little too much into fraud accounts, but one of the main things I've noticed with Instagram accounts, and it's probably the same with Facebook too, all the posts, the photos, pay attention, and they'll have been posted on the same day, right? Because how many of us post 10 times a day? No, now there's a way to do 10 photos, right? But you're not gonna post 10 separate posts in one day. And the number one way to identify an Instagram account that's fraudulent is low number of followers, like a small account that's new, and a large part of their posts are the same day. And they're getting good. Some of them I've seen that they'll build it back. I'm pretty sure a mutual friend, McSkimming, I accepted a fake one of Instagram, and I can tell they will take my friend's current posting and then post it onto the fake one. And what they're doing is trying to build another account, right, that makes it look legitimate. But one of the key ways is just see that there's several photos posted on the same day. So social media, what we'll see, right, they'll all of a sudden ask for money. If you accept it and they ask for money, No, never communicate, and an old friend isn't trying to give you financial tips. And then those romance scams. If somebody's contacting you online, even not only even romance scams, but I've noticed with John Cleese, you know, he's a local, I love John Cleese, Monty Python. And so I'm liking some of his posts and I follow his account. About 2 or 3 times I've received a friend request and a message saying, hi, I'm John Cleese's manager. And I know it's a scam. John Cleese's manager doesn't want to contact me, right? But that's the way they'll get into it. Hey, I'm the manager. We have these special promos going on. If you want to meet in person, you just have to pay $50. There's so many scams out there. I could talk all day, but just be thoughtful when you're receiving unsolicited friend requests or unsolicited advice, financial advice, or any sort of romantic contact. Pop-up scams. This is one that's huge. And it just happened to me. I keep saying it just happened to me, but that's where I get my Scam Squad content, is I literally have my weekly scam, and 9 out of 10 times it's because I received that scam within the last week or 2. Pop-up scams, you'll see it. Warning, warning, we mentioned it. Your computer is at risk. This just happened in San Luis Obispo last month. Sometimes they come with sounds. Has anyone received those? Yeah. So you'll receive a pop-up, it'll look legitimate, because why else? It's your computer. Of course, your virus software is working now. It's letting you know that there's an issue. Say, call this phone number, and it's a scam. In San Luis Obispo, there was one person that lost $200,000. How, I don't know, right? Well, the reality is, it's more a smaller amount. They'll call and say, oh, you have to subscribe and pay for an added benefit on your antivirus software, and then they'll ask for your credit card or your bank information, and that's how they're able to get that money. In that case, in San Luis Obispo, which is highly unusual, they even had people go to their home. And that's something that very rarely happens, but say, hey, we can come to your home and pick up money for that. So pop-up scams. The one I received a couple days ago was the McAfee. Does anyone use McAfee to protect their computer? It's one of the antivirus computer programs. Norton is another one. It's a little thing that came up on the bottom of my computer screen and says, your subscription has expired. Click this to renew. And I looked at it and I thought, I use McAfee. I don't know when it expires. I think it's on automatic renewal. But because I preach this every day, all day, I didn't click on the link, right? What I did is I went to the McAfee website, I logged in, and guess what? My renewal is not up for, it's not up for renewal. My subscription was totally valid. That was a pop-up scam, and it looks real. Another thing that McAfee has reported is that you'll receive an email or a text, and it'll say, we just renewed your annual membership. The charge was $342, and you go, $300? If you would like to cancel within 7 days, please call us at this number. All that's trying to do is have you create a sense of urgency and get upset, right? Why did you just charge me $300 or $400? And you call that number and it's a scam. And what are they gonna do? They're gonna ask for your bank information to credit you. And that's how that becomes a scam, is that they get your financial information. You think that you were charged too much money, they say no problem, they're friendly, and they'll credit you, and you just provided them with your bank or your credit card information. You said you received that email?
Yeah, I received the email, so I did what you did, went on to the McAfee website, and it wasn't $300 some, it was $149, and it wasn't due until November. So,
right. Yeah, that's a scam.
I didn't click on it, I just went in and looked at it myself.
Has anyone else received anything like that?
I did.
Yes?
Amazon Prime
Okay.
wanted to renew me. I've never done Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a perfect example, right? Is it if you've never been a member or subscribed to something and they're saying that they've charged you, it's a scam. Pretty much they're all scams until you figure out it's not. And the way you figure out that it's a legitimate contact through email or text message is you go to the official website. Never click on a link that you've received from a text message. I say unsolicited, but the reality is even what you think is solicited, right? You've agreed to receive a text message from Amazon. You've agreed to receive a text message from some sort of company. Don't click on those links. And the same with email. Be very, very cautious and contact the company directly. The next thing I wanna talk about are very quickly, cause I know we're short on time, are political scams, because we're getting into this time. So there's 3 scams that we see during election cycles. The first scam is the voter registration fraud scam. You'll receive a call or an email and they'll say, hey, there was some sort of issue with your voter registration and you need to re-register, right? Or get out the vote, we wanna register you. So if you're not registered, I encourage you to register to vote. If you receive information saying you're not registered, there's something wrong, that is a scam. You will never be told that there's something wrong with your voter registration. What they're trying to do is collect your personal information. We've even seen scams that they say, hey, we can help you, but you need to pay a small fee. We'll help you re-register, and there's just a small $4.99 fee. You will never be charged a fee to register to vote. That's a scam, and what are they doing? They're getting your bank information or your credit card information, right? So you're thinking, oh, that's just a small incidental fee, $5.99 to make sure I'm voting in this important election, but the reality is what you're doing is you're giving your financial information to a scam. The next are the donation scams. Who's received a text message saying, donate now? Anyone, right? And it gets you get emotional because it's important, right? People are very invested, especially in this election cycle, usually always, right? It's important to you personally that you are supporting your candidate of choice. But what we wanna make sure you do is actually support your candidate of choice. Don't give your money to scammers. So you'll receive a text message or an email or even a phone call. Support your candidate of choice, donate now, doomsday. If you don't give your $50 now, your candidate's gonna lose. And they create this sense of urgency. So please, I encourage you to donate if that's what you're inclined to do, but you go to the official website of the candidate that you wanna donate to, and you donate through those means. Don't click on a link through text message or phone call or email. It's very important. And then the third one, which is a little unusual, and I haven't experienced this personally, but I think it's interesting, is polls or surveys. Those also can be scams. What are they doing? They're getting, at the end, right, they're gonna ask for your personal information. Hello, this is just a quick poll. Do you have 5 minutes for a survey? And they'll make it sound so legitimate. You'll be a part of a poll or a survey, which is important and you wanna do. And then at the end, they're asking for your personal information. Or sometimes they say, hey, if you do this poll, what we'll do is we'll give you $50. So you'll get money to participate in a survey or a poll. That is a scam. And at the end, in order to receive your financial benefit for participating, they need your bank account information to deposit it into your account. What are you doing? You have an unsolicited call or text, and you're providing your financial information. So those are some very quick and basic scams that are out there, but I don't want to scare you, right? Because the reality is a lot of these scams, it's very easy to not become a victim to a scammer. Don't answer the phone, like Dave said, and if you do, you can always hang up on somebody. Create a script. This is something I like to tell people to do, because sometimes when you're in the moment, you don't know what to say. You don't want to be rude. It's so ingrained in us to be polite. I'm exactly the same way. If someone calls me, it's a poll, it's a survey I don't want to do, I'm still extremely polite, and I'm no thank you, and then they know how to keep you on the phone longer. So just create a script, have something in your mind that you're ready to say, no, I'm sorry, or if it's something that maybe you are interested in doing, maybe it's a company or something that you do want to learn more information about, say, can you give me a detailed information on the name of your company, what your website is, and what your phone number is, and say, and then I'm gonna call you back. You hang up, you don't take their word for it, you do a simple internet search, and you find out from the internet what their official legitimate website is. So just remember that through every scam, there's a way. Through every black hat, there's a way that you can protect yourself. And they're not gonna jump out of the phone, they're not most likely gonna come to your house, although we have heard of that, we're not gonna arrest you for a warrant scam. You're safe, you're okay, just be really thoughtful. So there's the 3 golden rules you'll see in your handout that I provided. And this is pretty universal for almost every scam out there. So what you'll see, what you'll see is the scammers create some sort of sense of urgency or an emotional response. The warrant scam, you get scared, you don't wanna be arrested, that's that emotional response. There's that urgency, if you don't pay for it now, then if you don't pay for your warrant now, we're gonna come and arrest you. Or the grandchild, if you receive a phone call, your grandchild has been arrested. Has everyone heard of that scam? Okay, good. That's a pretty one, that's a big one that gets a lot of attention. So they'll create that urgency, of course you wanna help a relative, especially your grandchild. That's scary. So what the scammers do is create that sense of urgency, you need to act and you need to act now. And they benefit off that because you don't have time to process the information and really start thinking clearly. So slow down. Number one, any phone call or text message or anything you receive that's causing you to have a little emotional reaction, slow it down and ask questions. You have time. All of these situations, there's never a time you need to act immediately. The next one is do a little research, right? Check back, push back a little bit. I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you back. The warrant scam. Okay, I'm gonna hang up and call you back, and you call the sheriff's department. So just make sure you do a little bit of research on a company or anything, that political donation, you do a little bit of research to make sure your money is going where you want it to go. And then the last one is don't send any money, right? You have that urgency and that odd payment. They say, you can pay your warrants, just go to CVS and get the gift cards. That's a scam. Anytime you see, anytime you're asked to provide a payment in that unusual way, I guarantee that's a scam. And luckily, a lot of companies now are recognizing that. We had Target recently. They were, one of the security guards was noticing that there was a gentleman scanning a bunch of gift cards at self-checkout. And he went up and asked about it. And he was like, well, I don't remember what the scam was because I have to provide this money. I said, hold on. And they were able in the store to save him, I think it was $3,000 worth of Target gift cards that he was purchasing, thinking he needed to make a payment. That's a very brief information on the scams out there that we're seeing currently right now. And when I say currently, not necessarily in Santa Barbara, the tri-counties and the state in general, but I really urge you to just be aware. I'm not plugging my podcast, but it is Scam Squad. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, 20 minutes, and I provide up-to-date kind of real-life scams that we see. This last episode I taped yesterday was about QR code scams, so you can learn all about that. That's another way that scammers are scamming, is those QR codes. And then, like Dave said, great timing, but on page 3 of your Center for Successful Asian newsletter is an article that I wrote. Everything I talked about just now is pretty much in the article, but keep it because right here at the bottom, we have a hotline. If you have any question about a phone call or think you're the victim of a scam, or you receive a phone call and you want to know if it's a scam, call this hotline. It is a message, so someone will answer it in person, but I personally check it several times a week, and then I have other people that help me to check it. We try and check it daily, and I'll return your phone call. So don't hesitate to call, even if you think it's something small. We're always here to help.
This is something I get fairly often. It's a scam where you get an email that says, this is from UPS, we have a parcel for you, and we are lacking information. And
I get that one weekly via text message. Ignore it.
yeah,
Just ignore it.
yeah.
But yes, that's a great one. Does everyone else receive that same?
Yes.
And it's easy. Like Dave said, he clicked on the link. I received an email. I don't even remember what scam it was, but I had just woken up. I checked my emails without my glasses. I was tired, and I clicked on a PDF file. And luckily it was on my phone, so I closed it right away. It was a scam. But PDF files could have viruses in them too. And, but so anybody can be the victim of a scam. The woman that I talked about, the warrant, she's in her 30s and she's a nurse. And one of the things that she was telling me about when we were talking is just how absolutely emotionally devastated she was at the time. It just really affected her. both at the time of the call and after, thinking like, how did I fall victim to this scam? She believed it, and the only reason why she didn't give them money is because she's a relative of one of the judges, and they mentioned that judge specifically as being the judge that signed the warrant, and all of a sudden she went, wait a minute. And that's the only thing, but she said she 100% would have given the money, except it wasn't that little piece, and she had talked to a bunch of friends and that, thinking, I'm smart, I'm educated, how could this happen to me? It can happen to anyone and everyone, and it does. So yes, thank you for sharing the UPS.
Elder abuse. Okay, I witnessed that with, my present day partner. And that went on for 4 years.
Financial or physical? Right.
Financial. And it wasn't until I stepped into the picture, I met him at the shop center, just like. And right away I could tell there was something wrong when I met the individual that was doing the scamming.
Right, no, and that's a really good, point. While I'm thinking about it, let me just go to a different point, and then I'm gonna get back on that, is with the scams, a lot of these scams, they're not local anymore, right? Back in the day when they were the dumpster diving and getting your information out of the trash, they were either lived in Santa Barbara and we could contact them and arrest them, or they were probably somewhat local, Southern California, and they could still be arrested in the county. Now what we're seeing is that law enforcement, our hands are tied because a lot of the scammers aren't in the country, they're somewhere else. With financial elder abuse, that is something that I meaning our office, take very seriously. You can call that hotline as well. A lot of the times that people will report it to their local law enforcement jurisdiction, and because it is so nuanced and complicated, they may be told, or you may be told, that it's a civil issue. It's not. It is a crime to commit financial elder fraud. And so if you have any questions, I ran out of business cards, so I apologize, but you can Google me, right? You can get my phone number and call me, but anything, I'm always willing to help, because that is, scams are a big issue, and then the financial fraud locally, because that is something that I can act on and do, that the victims are being victimized by people living in the county, and that's something that I could hopefully help with, either specifically our office. We have a real estate fraud unit, so if it's a real estate fraud, scam or fraud, I can take that case immediately and sign my investigators. I have the best investigators, I think, in the nation, as far as when it comes to real estate fraud and fraud in general. And then if it's not a real estate fraud specifically, if it's more of a nuanced financial scam, I try and refer it back to the local law enforcement agency, and a lot of times what they do is just write an initial report and then I'll take it. I just have to have them do that little initial report to get that case number, because it is their jurisdiction, and then I can take it. So I'm glad you were able to identify
I put
it.
into it, and it actually, the whole thing wrapped up this January.
Okay.
This has been going on since 2014.
Wow.
No, it's a bigger problem than people realize, and it's going to get worse. And I think I'm really just trying to get the information out there and the resources in order to be able to.
We actually worked with an attorney for 5 years.
Yeah.
Trying to get this resolved, and that's how long it took.
Yeah, the laws need to be, the laws need to change to protect people a little bit better, but within the laws currently that we have, we do our best to try and assist those that have been victimized, for sure. Any other scams you wanna, we're done?
What about?
We're so engaged. If we
Okay,
run a
yeah,
little bit
let's talk
over.
about it.
No, we just
Yeah.
wanted to be cognizant of anybody's
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We're here, and we will continue to answer questions, but if anybody has something they need to get to, I think that, I just wanna talk to this point right now. We had an aha moment when Dana talked about it. Everybody in the room realized and did this, and that's where we wanna get. We want you to communicate. I don't know if you can tell me the stats now, but I know the most underreported crime that I ever dealt with throughout my 30-year career were fraud related when somebody felt embarrassed that it happened to them. And they didn't talk to anybody. They waited 5 years and it got so ingrained. So there's so many different ways. You're not always, the first time you pick up the phone, it's not always gonna be perfect. It's not always gonna be Tina on the other side. It's not necessarily always gonna be me on the other side, but there's a solution and we will help you that way. Call them, and we'll get it. You can call me. I got some right here. We worked on a nonprofit case that we can't really talk about right now, but there were roles that I could do, roles that Tina could do. It was cross state lines and everything like that. But we're gonna work to try to figure that out. But the person had to ask for the help first. So make sure they're doing that.
One extra step, and you know this very well, but if you know there's a number calling you and it's a fraud, you need to block that caller on your phone. Block it.
Well, some of them, if you do that, they actually have automatic and you'll get another one and another one, but it's a good first step, right? Sometimes you can use the internet and Google and say, I got this telephone call, is this a scam?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it'll tell you that, so you can use that as a resource too.
That's an excellent way to do it.
But yes, that's great, block it.
And if it's important,
Look
you're
for
going to leave a message, right? Don't be worried about missing a call.
Yeah.
I send calls all the time to voicemail, decline,
Yeah.
right? And then, oh, oops, I should have answered that, and I just call them back,
Yeah.
right? And the scammers won't leave a message, most likely. They're just gonna go on to the next person, and the next person, and the next person, right? So don't be afraid to just decline that call. And then, like Dave said, I want to end on a positive note, right? Like, part of my job for the county is I'm here to help you. There are organizations within the city, there are county organizations, state organizations, the case he talked about, cross state lines, the FBI is involved. At every level, there is somebody that is taking it seriously and is here to help. So never feel embarrassed. Just the statistics are outrageous, and I know that they're a very small portion of what is actually happening. With those romance scams, people are embarrassed, right? And that's really difficult. They're devastated, and they can't believe that it happened to them, and that goes with every scam, and it's okay, it happens to everyone. With the age demographic, I have from 40 above memorized, I don't have the younger, but every age group, so they have from under 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and every single age group is victimized. With 60 and over last year, this is just ic3.gov, which is the FBI website to report financial crimes that happen on the internet. 101,000 reports for the age demographic of 60 and older, and the loss was $3.4 billion. And that's just what's reported, and if that's half, I would be shocked. Half, I would be shocked. On the 50 to 59, it was about $1.5 billion of loss, and 40 to 49 was about the same, $1.5 billion. So it's every single age group, and it is nothing to be embarrassed about. I would easily fall victim to scam. I would have pressed on that McAfee, I need to renew. In fact, I think I might have a couple years ago, right? I would press on those links, thinking I'm protecting my computer. Every single scammer is so good at what they do, never be embarrassed. And the reason why it's important to get that information out there, like that romance scam, the woman that called in Utah, the only way she was able to identify that it was a romance scam is because of getting that information. She read about it and realized every single thing that they're talking about is what I'm experiencing. So, any questions?
Well, I had several telephone calls within the last several months, and they were always the same. Your back taxes have been forgiven by the IRS. You have to do nothing further.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you have to do nothing further.
And so what they want you to do is call and be like, back taxes? I didn't have back taxes. You're worried about your credit, you're worried about the information
I
that.
don't have back taxes.
Right, no, I believe you. And that's what they're probably trying to do, is that urgency. Oh my gosh, what do you mean back taxes?
Exactly,
Is
the
this gonna
first
affect
thing
my
you do
credit?
is check Is there something I missed?
Right.
You call your accountant, right?
Right.
What did I miss? Nothing.
Right, yeah, no, I haven't heard that one, that's a good one.
Just remember that we talked about fishing holes, right? Now that this fishing hole is so large, they can try this. If it work, if they send that out to a few thousand people and one person bites, that's easy, right? And that's what they're gonna do. So they're gonna try new things. Something that's really kind of scary, and that's why I wanted to start with the fundamentals, is now you're talking about stuff, deep fakes. Has anybody ever heard of that? Okay, so you've got the ability nowadays with photos that I can make a photo look like it's a family member or something like that. I can do this deep fakes. I can do it with video nowadays, right? And I can also, with the AI and some of the things that are coming, and remember, AI is just a fancy word for analytics. We're just moving forward with that, but we're learning about our victims. So now what I'm gonna do next with this warrant scheme is I'm gonna get the voices, because I'm gonna download Kristina's voice from her podcast, and I'm gonna get that voice, and then I'm going to send that out, and now I don't even have to worry about it. It's gonna sound like Kristina when she's calling and answering that, okay? But remember the fundamentals. Check, even with Kristina calling, okay? I'm gonna call you back at whatever that number is. If you can stay true to those fundamentals, it'll work. And the other key is, there's a lot of people out there that we can help. Let's talk about this. Let's tell them about what's going on. Let's educate, and then hopefully we'll have Kristina can take more time working on other stuff too.
I would be happy to be out of the scam business, right?
There's other stuff, there's a lot. I mean, I'm happy, we can talk about security and what's going on now with South American theft groups, all that kind of stuff down the road. So just wanted to stay focused right now on what you're most likely gonna be a victim of. So that's where we wanted to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are so grateful that you both joined us today. Thank you, and that you all were able to join us. We do have a gift basket in the back, but before we do the raffle, we would love to thank our educational partners who not only contribute to us being here, but also we network with them. And speaking of scams, these are people who care and have integrity. So we are delighted to partner with Woodland Senior Living, Poor Lamar Nursery gives us all of these beautiful flowers. Cody's Cafe, Paragon Mortgage Group, Center for Successful Aging, and on our back table, all of these companies, there's information back there, so please grab one of these as well, so then you can also read Kristina's article, and then you can also have the podcast information on there. Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History, the Down Syndrome Association, and Curated Transitions. And our newest educational partner is The Key. So.
And the key, people may not know what the key is, and we were kind of curious. They changed their name from a home care to the Key. And so now they will go and take care of any of the family needs that you might have. And so they're all kind of like the Key. Okay, the Key, but that's what it is, the Key.